I don't know if it's jealousy or envy with him. And I think this is another example of it, even threatening to cut the money from those who are heroes like yourself. I just think it's a trend with this guy, and he wants all the attention. Advocates for the 9/11 community have been warning about these staffing cuts at this federal program that helps first responders. The White House today did reverse its decision to cut 20% of the CDC, which directly impacted the World Trade Center health program. And while this is a victory, not everybody is out of the water yet, for lack of a better term. So to talk to us about this is a man that I have so much respect for. His name is John Feal, 9/11 hero and vets advocate, and certainly a hero to this country. John, thank you so much for joining us. It's an honor to have you on. How are you, sir?
Thank you for having me, and it's a pleasure to be here. So thank you.
John. Thank you, John. So first of all, your reaction to this. Obviously, it's good news. What was your first reaction when you heard this reversal?
Well, so let's start from the beginning. Last week, we heard it would be a 10% cut to the CDC, which directly affects the World Trade Center health program in the enrollment process and in the certification of illnesses. Then we found out it was 20%, which is devastating. People will get sicker and people will die. Then as of last night, we heard that the grants to the FDNY were restored, and they're working on reversing the decision on the 20% cuts. While they verbally said this, there's nothing in writing and they haven't done anything. I don't know the process of rehiring somebody in the federal government after letting them go, but I can tell you that we're going to still keep the pressure on them. We're going to continue to do what we do. We know they're not happy with the interviews that were done over the last several days by myself and others. This is sad. You know, this really hits the bottom of the barrel in lack of humanity, lack of empathy. It's inhumane, and I find it utterly outrageous and repulsive that people that have been suffering for the last 24 years with deadly illnesses, from pulmonary fibrosis to COPD to cancers, these men and women, uniform and non-uniform, they deserve better. And while I remain optimistic and hopeful that this will get done, we have to go to DC next week and introduce a bill on Wednesday to get $3 billion for the World Trade Center health program. So, you know, we can do this before that. We come in peace, or we can get into a street fight and continue to do interviews. Yeah. You know, Congressman Garabino and the New York Republican delegation and New Jersey Republican delegation, they put out a letter to the White House, and the White House, they weren't too happy with it because they finally faced opposition within their own party. Good for the member of the New York and New Jersey delegation. Yeah. But this madness and this insanity has to end as quickly as possible. You cannot take a sledgehammer to every program. I understand there's fraud in the federal government and there's waste and there's silly spending, but there was no fraud in this program. This program was understaffed.
So, John, why? The billion-dollar question is, why are we even having to have this conversation? I find it so repulsive, like you. Why? There's clearly, you're right, there's no fraud in this. This is helping first responders and heroes like yourself. Why would they even consider doing something like this?
I don't know. I can't answer. You know, I'm not Elon Musk. I'm not Robert Kennedy Jr. I don't work in the Trump administration. I don't know why. If they're just slashing the government across the board to cut down $37 trillion deficit, they're going about it the wrong way. I don't know. But, you know, listen, every time that man goes on the golf course, that costs American taxpayers millions of dollars.
Right.
Every time that man wants to drive his limousine around a racetrack at NASCAR, that's millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. You know, so every time that man wants to go to the Super Bowl or a sporting event, that costs millions of dollars. Right. How about we cut that shit out and put that towards our program? I mean, I know it's being facetious and silly, and I'm lowering myself to their level.
No, I agree with you.
But you know, you can't cherry pick when you want to save money and when you want to spend money. You know, that $37 trillion, a quarter of that was from his last administration when they gave tax cuts to the rich. So, you know, don't insult my intelligence. I've been going to DC for over 2 decades. I know how they work. And you have unqualified people right now in the government with no real titles, no official titles, who don't know how to legislate, don't know how to govern, don't know the ins and outs and the nuances of the federal government. And
Yeah.
we're letting them cut programs that save lives. Shame on
Ridiculous. Ridiculous. If you're just joining us, John Feal, 9/11 Heroes and Vets Advocate. So, John, I think this is a trend that we've seen with Donald Trump for many years. I think you'll agree with me on this. When he went after John McCain and he said, I don't respect John McCain because he was captured, he seems to go after our members of our military, suckers and losers. It seems like when we have these heroes and people like yourself, people who risk their lives for this country, I don't know if it's jealousy or envy with him. And I think this is another example of it, even threatening to cut the money from those who are heroes like yourself. I just think it's a trend with this guy, and he wants all the attention.
Yeah, he's petty. I mean, he's soft skinned. He's a man baby. I can get into that. But he's not worth attacking. I don't take him
Yeah.
serious, but I do
But
take
John,
him I
do
take
you,
him serious enough to destroy the very fabric of what this nation was built on.
of
And
course. Yeah.
the very fabric of this nation is diversity and the working class who built this country up and made it great what it is today. We don't need to make America great again. We need to make America smart again. We need to make Americans full of empathy again. We need to make Americans human beings come together and share ideas and collaborate. When we show each other that we're vulnerable and exposed and we're all flawed, it makes it easier to collaborate. But don't come off as some god or king and thinking that you're not flawed. Last time I checked, when I was up close to you shaking your hand, you're not 6'3", you're not 215 pounds. You are flawed. Okay? So, the media, the Republican Party, everybody swallows what he says. It's like, if I shit in your mouth, you're gonna eat it. You're gonna love it. And it tastes like strawberries. Enough of that crap. People are sick and dying because of the perverse actions that DOGE or the administration took. This is not acceptable. And my rhetoric will get stronger each day. And I don't care who I piss off. I don't care who I burn bridges with. My only concern is the 137,000 people in the World Trade Center Health Program. Over 30,000 of them have a certified 9/11 related cancer. And there are so many more waiting to get certified.
Mm.
This is not making America great again. This is hurting America.
Do you ever, I guess this would be my last question for you. Do you ever have these types of conversations with some of those people who were first responders that voted for Donald Trump respectfully?
All the time.
How does that go, John? How do those conversations go?
Most of them are not privileged to the information that I can receive on a daily day. But yeah, a lot of people drink the Kool-Aid, and a lot of people believe without fact checking their sources.
Yeah.
A lot of people now, this was the deep state. Well, who the fuck is the deep state? Because I'm tired of hearing, you're the administration now. Who's the deep state?
Yeah.
You removed everybody. Enough of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, Democrats are doing it. Joe Biden did this. Joe Biden's not president anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So if I may, in a PG-13 way, if that's okay, because we're on the radio, if you were in a room with Donald Trump right now,
yeah,
and you had the chance to talk to him behind closed doors in a PG-13 way for radio purposes, I'm just curious, John, you being and I have so much respect for you. You're a hero, and I know you're a modest guy, but you're a hero. You've saved lives with your work over the years. I'm curious, what would you say to Donald Trump? No cameras around, just you and him, mano a mano. What would you say, John?
Mr. President, in 2019, you shook my hand when you signed my bill. You gave me the Sharpie that you signed the bill with and said nobody deserves this more than you. You work so hard. That Sharpie is now in the 9/11 museum in closing glass. But I would say to you, sir, why would you shake my hand and say that if you're going to hurt the program now? Why would you be so callous and cruel to something that you signed in 2019? How can you look me in the eye and say thank you for your hard work when you want to disrespect my hard work? And I would say straight to his face. I wouldn't blink, and I would wait for an answer, and I would hold his hand while I'm shaking it and saying it.
Boy, I would love to see that moment. John, you're such a great man and you're such a hero. I thank you so much for your time. Please keep doing this and please give us any updates and let's stay in touch and continue the great work that you're doing. I have so many friends in New York. I have a family on East 65th between 1st and 2nd. I grew up in Connecticut. I'm an East Coaster just like you. I love you guys. I love what you're doing. And we got to just keep up the fight, my friend. John Feal. Thank you so much. It's an honor to have you on the show, and hopefully we can do it again. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks for having me. Have a blessed weekend.
Thank you. You too, John. John Feal, everybody. He's right. Donald Trump signed that, and then he gave the Sharpie to John. We all remember that. That's in the 9/11 museum now. And John is a hero. He really is. It is despicable, and it is disgusting that we even have to have this conversation. What are we doing? 130,000 people that have health issues still from what took place on 9/11, and DOGE, they're literally one bill away, one signature away from taking the proper health care that these people need and a 20% cut of the CDC, which would directly impact the World Trade Center health program. Why are we even having this conversation? John Feal is a hero. And every single one of those people, the first responders, the firefighters, the police officers on that day on 9/11 are all heroes. Sadly, too many of them, one would be too many, lost their lives. They're forever heroes. And for all the people out there that have had the breathing issues, and sadly, some of them have cancer from the stuff that they were breathing in that day, everybody in this country should agree, everybody, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, that they deserve to get the health care that they need to survive. And the fact that DOGE would even consider cutting a program like the World Trade Center health program is despicable, but it is completely on par and on course with what Donald Trump and his administration are trying to do. When we talk about Medicare and Medicaid, when we talk about Social Security, when we talk about cutting funding for children's cancer research, this is what this administration is doing. And it's despicable. And I'm tired of it. And I'm angry that I have to interview heroes like John Feal, and they have to fight for what should be very simple with the money that this country has in helping first responders and those that have illnesses because of responding on 9/11. But I have to talk to John about this, and you can hear the frustration in his voice, and I don't blame him. You hear the same frustration in my voice every single day when it comes to this bastard. And I've had it. And I will continue to interview people like John every single day.